Are you looking to become a web developer and you want to know what are the salary ranges for different type of career paths that you can take? So we're going to be talking about that in this video. So stay tuned. Just watch the whole video. I guarantee you it's going to be very informative for every single one of you guys that are looking to get into this career. Okay. We're going to talk about the details about what the job actually does, right? And what you're going to be doing on that career path. And at the same time, what skills you got to learn and how much you're going to be able to make from the low end to the high end and to the creative side. And that means basically if you start creating your own themes, your own plugins, your own pathway. Okay, so let's just get started. All right, so we have web developer salary. Okay, let's start with the very lowest one, right? And the easiest one to get into. This is the one that I always recommend people to get into at first because it's so easy for you guys to get a job with this. So HTML emails. Now, to become a HTML email developer, it doesn't take that many skills. It's just pretty much HTML and CSS. That's pretty much it. Okay, so pretty much any one of you guys can start off here and then continue to grow and jump into other career paths. All right, so like I always say, HTML emails is just an easy way to get into the industry. All right, so we have HTML emails on the low end. We have $35,000, right? Depending on where you live, depending what's your skills like and how big is the company. Now, I've seen jobs where people have made up to $125,000 per year, but that's because they're working for major corporations, okay, or major, digital agencies. All right, so this is HTML emails, guys. Now, the next one is front-end developer. Front-end developer basically consists of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and being able to know maybe one or two different front-end frameworks and be able to work with APIs and, render things to the screen. Okay, just give some, a little special effects to the web pages, right? What we call interactivity. All right, so that's front-end development. Now, on the low end, a front-end developer can make $50,000. On the high end, they can make up to $140,000. Again, it all depends on what city you live and also to what type of company you are working for. Now, the majority of people that are going to start working as developers or quote-unquote front-end developers is going to be $50,000. That's what I see all the time. This right here is usually the starting point where people start off, and then depending on where you live and the company you're working for, it just continues to grow. Okay, so definitely is one of the paths that most young developers are taking, which is front-end development, because it's just easier. All you have to worry about is just the front end, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Okay, now the next one that we have here is animation specialist. Now you're probably asking yourself, Joe, what the hell is this, right? So animation specialist is pretty much somebody who is a front-end developer, but at the same time focuses on the animation side of things. So it could be for HTML5 banners, it could be for websites for like different brands like Coca-Cola or Nike or maybe Kellogg's or things like that, right? When you go to a website and you're like, damn, so many nice animations and so many cool things that's happening and this and that. Those are animation specialists. Those are guys that they do the front end, but they focus more on the animation side of things. Now, on the low end, you can make $50,000 if you are living in a really small town and you're basically working with a small studio or a small agency. But I've seen guys that are making up to $200,000 and more. Okay, and that's because they're working for major corporations and major studios like, you got Huge Inc., which is a freaking digital agency that is like worldwide. Like they do all of the main brands. Like let's say Toyota comes out with a new car, right? They go in and create the advertisement for it. They create the website for it. Same thing like a Mercedes-Benz or Rolls Royce or even, things like this, like where a new movie comes out, they're the one building the websites for those movies, right? So that's what an animation specialist gets into. Now, the next one we have here is JavaScript game developer. Now, a JavaScript game developer is somebody who creates video games with JavaScript, right? It's pretty much straightforward. Okay. Basically, if you guys didn't know, you can create games on the web, and there's a lot of websites like Newgrounds, itch.io, right, where you can actually release your games and put it out there to the world. Now, there's also a lot of small game studios out there where they will hire JavaScript game developers to basically work on things like Facebook games and other platforms. Like I think WeChat, I can't remember exactly, but I believe WeChat has a section where you can create games and put it inside of their application, just like Facebook. Now, those guys, you might not find that many jobs for this. Okay, I'll be honest. Like, the jobs is out there, but it's very, very spread out throughout the world. Okay, not a lot of people get to do this, and what happens is that most of the time the JavaScript game developers, they take the route of going in the independent route and just creating their own thing. So like, let's say a JavaScript game developer can make anything from $60,000 just working in a small studio, and then from there, if they're working with a bigger studio, it can make up to $120,000. Creatively, you can make $120,000 and more. And when I say creative, it just means that you are able to create your own games. You get to basically release them independently on your own, and you keep most of the profit. All right. So you're not going to have a huge team. It's just a one-man team creating games. All right. So JavaScript game developers, guys. Now, the next one is backend developer. So to become a backend developer, you have so many different options of languages that you can do, right? You can do C#. You could focus on something like Python. You can focus on something like Java, JavaScript. You can do PHP. You can do Ruby. There's so many different languages that you can go for, right? But the majority of people usually start with something like PHP or JavaScript using Node.js to start working as a backend developer. Now, on the low end, backend developer is gonna make $70,000. On the high end, they're gonna make $140,000. Okay, there's some companies that might pay you more, but we're talking about having a lot of experience, right? Anything above 5 years, you could make a little bit more, maybe 160, 180, depending on where you are located. If it's somewhere like in New York City where there's a lot of startups with a lot of VC funding, or you're in San Francisco, then yeah, you could continue going up on the numbers there. All right. But the average person is going to be making $70,000 to $140,000 depending on where they live. Now, what's interesting is that being a front-end developer, you actually get to make, as a starting point, a little bit less than a back-end developer, because as a front-end developer, you have less responsibilities. With a back-end developer, you have more responsibilities because you are not only creating things like REST APIs or even GraphQL endpoints, right? You're creating CRUDs, you're dealing with databases, right? You're also dealing with maybe if the server is down, sometimes you might have to be a guy that needs to know about AWS or Google Cloud, or even working with Linux and dealing with stuff like, DigitalOcean or Linode, right? Dealing with the servers themselves, right? So companies value that a little bit more. So just the starting point of a backend developer is a little bit higher. Okay. So we're going to move on to the next one. The next one is WordPress, right? So you might be thinking, Joe, WordPress developer? Really, Joe? And yeah, okay. WordPress developers are everywhere. And this is a skill that a lot of people want to get into, and they can make a lot of money in, okay? Especially if they are a creative individual, okay? Now, WordPress does start very low. I've seen jobs where they basically paying, pennies to people. Okay. I've seen guys that get paid even less than this. Okay. I'm starting to 40,000 because we're talking about respectable companies where, we're not talking about the sweatshops. Okay. If you want to work for a sweatshop, trust me, you can make $10 an hour if you wanted to, right? But we're talking about at least respectable companies. They're going to start you off at least at $40,000. Okay. And then on the high end, it could be anything like $100,000. If it's like New York City, if it's like a financial company, right? FinTech, right? Then you might have an opportunity to go a little bit higher. But it is usually, from $40,000 to $100,000. Now, the thing that makes WordPress a good option to choose is not really how much you're going to get paid on a job. It's more about the opportunities that you can make for yourself. Okay. WordPress has an ecosystem where you can go ahead, create themes and sell them online, right? Through websites like themeforest.net, right? And at the same time, you can also create plugins where people can go and subscribe to your service and from there they pay you on a monthly basis, right? I've seen guys that create 5 to 10 different themes per year, and they make about $200,000 and more, okay? And I've seen guys that have companies that they're making multi-million dollars because they have a service that they've created a plugin for WordPress, okay? So it all depends, all right? Now, again, if you're looking just for a job and you're looking to just start with a job, then you're going to see that having the skill of WordPress, you're going to start at a very low end. You know, there's companies that's going to start you very, very low. But the good thing about it, like I said, is that for your creative side, you can go ahead and create a lot of things that is going to generate you a lot of income. And at the same time, to become a WordPress developer is like HTML email developer. It's like super easy to get into the industry just by starting working as a WordPress developer, okay? Some of you guys might be struggling trying to get a job as a front-end developer or a back-end developer or a animation specialist, all right? You might be struggling to find that job because you don't have experience. And to be honest with you, I will say, hey man, you got to start somewhere. You know, some people, they start at the top, but the majority of us, people like you and me that's watching right now, we might not be that lucky where we just might get the best job at first. So what we going to do? We got to pay bills. We got to survive in this world, and we want to code, right? What you rather be doing? Working in a warehouse, packing boxes and putting it into a crate? Or do you want to be coding, right? I'd rather be coding. So if I have to start somewhere like an HTML email developer or a WordPress developer to build up that experience, I'm going to go for it. Okay. So, and I recommend you guys to also go for it too. If you can't find a job out there, this is where you're going to find opportunities. WordPress, you're going to find opportunities in HTML emails. You could probably find a job within a week or two. Okay. So if you're struggling, you find yourself, anything beyond a month and you can't find a job, switch it up, kid. Go to HTML emails, go to WordPress, get started, right? Once you get that stamp on your resume, you could always get the other jobs like front-end developer, JavaScript, animation specialist, or even, front-end or back-end. It doesn't really matter, okay? Just get a stamp, okay? If you're finding yourself that you can't find a job, man, like, don't waste time at home. Don't be like, I'm waiting 6 months for my dream job. You stupid if you do that, okay? So let's go to the next one. The next one is Shopify developer. Now, Shopify developer basically is a mixture of different things, right? Because you have two things that you can do. You can become a Shopify theme developer, or you can become a Shopify app developer. So a Shopify theme developer focuses more on the front end. So all of those things that you already know from HTML, CSS, JavaScript, pretty much you can apply it to creating themes for Shopify. And that's what companies is going to hire you for, to basically be able to change things around their themes, or upgrade different things, or add new features to the storefront, right? So that's what people are going to hire you for. Now there's also the app development side, which focuses on making sure that you create backend applications which connect to Shopify's APIs, right? So you can go both ways. It depends on what you want to do. You want to be a front-end guy, focus on themes. If you want to be a back-end guy, focus on app development. Now, the thing that's interesting about Shopify is that they do start you off at a pretty good salary. There's companies that pay you $60,000 to become a Shopify developer, and there's companies that will pay you as high as $140,000 to become a Shopify developer for them. All right. Now, the thing that's the most interesting about Shopify development is not even the jobs, right? Like, the jobs is cool, but it's just the opportunity to be able to create your own income. Okay, like if you're able to create your own themes and sell it on the Shopify store or on ThemeForest or even other websites. I think monster.com was it, templatemonsters.com. There's a whole bunch of different template companies out there that you can sell your themes to. You can make above $200,000 a year. Okay, so this is one of those skills that I recommend people to learn, because at one point you're gonna say, you know what, wouldn't it be nice for me to be able to take 6 months, a year, 2 years off and just work on my own without having to work for somebody, right? Then this is what's going to provide you that opportunity. All right. It's going to just give you that chance to be able to make your own income and make your own destiny. Okay. So let's go on to the next one. The next one is full stack developer. So full stack means somebody who knows the front end and also knows the back end. Okay, you can pretty much be a one-man team. You could create an application from start to finish. You don't need to wait on the front end guy to send you something. You don't need to wait on the back end guy to send you something. So most companies nowadays are hiring full stack developers because they want a developer that knows as much as they can and be as much as productive as they can in a team. Okay, so in reality, it's like you're paying for two guys. All right, so now as a full stack developer, you can start off at low $70,000, right, and as high as $180,000. Now again, this is depending on where you live, depending on your location, depending on your skills, depending on which programming language you stick with. Okay, there's jobs that is gonna pay you up to $200,000. You know, being a full stack developer, where maybe Scala on your, on your experience under your belt, right? You might go into a company as a Node.js full stack developer. They might pay you $120,000. You might go to a company and be a full stack Java developer. They might pay you $160,000. You might go to another company that's doing .NET. They might pay you $90,000. You know what I'm saying? Like, it all depends on which stack you're focusing on. But as a full stack developer, the goal is not to be some guy that just focuses on one stack, because once you understand how web development works, you can pretty much do it with any language that's out there. Like, if you know how to do a full stack application with PHP, you should be able to know how to do a full stack application with Node.js. And if you know how to do it with Node.js, you should be able to do it with Java or C# and .NET, or I don't know, Ruby on Rails, Python, Django, etc. Right? You should be able to pick up that skill and be able to join any team, because you already have that whole fundamental. So that's why they are willing to pay more for a full stack developer than anybody else as starting points. Okay, now the next one that we have here is Salesforce developer. Now, Salesforce developer is another skill, basically very niche, right? So Salesforce is a company that a lot of different companies use for their marketing, their CRMs, etc., right? And you can actually do development for Salesforce. You could create your own plugins, create your own templates in there, okay, and add extra features to Salesforce, okay? And this is something that's out there, right? I'm not gonna go too much details into Salesforce, but I wanna let you guys know that is also another opportunity for you guys. Now, I was gonna actually add React Native and Flutter into this as developers, but maybe we'll leave that for another video. I wanted to focus more on the front end, the back end, and the web development skills, okay? So in reality, even though React Native and Flutter, you can sort of say, hey, they're related to this, but it's really more on mobile development, okay? But like I said, man, I hope you guys like this video. Please subscribe. Please leave a like on this video. Leave a comment which pathway you're thinking about going in, okay? Which skills you're trying to learn. And also, too, I do want to mention to you guys that you guys can go and learn on my website, CodingPhase.com. If you guys click on the description below, there's going to be a couple of links in there. We have everything from a monthly subscription to a yearly subscription for you guys, okay? And we just try to make everything super affordable so any one of you guys can learn how to code, okay? This is the website right here. If you guys want, you guys can check out the subscriptions that we have, and I recommend signing up for a subscription because it just gives you access to all of the courses that we have on CodingPhase.com. Like, the monthly subscription gives you access to all of the programming courses, which is more than 50 courses in there just for $20. So for $20, you get access to over 50, right? And then for the yearly plus, we give you all of the bundles and all of the programming courses. So the career bundles, we're talking about things like Shopify development, HTML email development. We're talking about things like Salesforce. We're talking about six-figure bundle, how to make money online as a developer. So you have access to all of those things inside of here. And of course, if you click on the description, you're gonna get 50% off. So whatever price you see here, you're getting 50% off on that, okay? So, okay, right, $10, $198 around there, right? It's not bad for over 60 plus courses that you're gonna get access to. All right, so go check it out, man. It's your boy Joe, back at it again, CodingPhase.com. Hopefully this thing was super helpful to you guys. Okay, this Salesforce, full stack, Shopify, WordPress, backend, JavaScript game developer, animation specialist, front-end developer, HTML, email, right? Everything that you needed to know about web developer salaries was in here. Okay, so I'll see you guys later. It's your boy Joe, back at it again. Peace.